We are going to discuss the challenges and opportunities for DRR&R. And from, if you see, there are two main big challenges. DRR, the whole management system, disaster management system, is a supply-based, supply-driven activity at the moment. The authorities have done a lot of work, scientists have done a lot of work. Everybody, we have perhaps the best mechanism for disaster management in the form of NDMA, SDMAs, DDMAs, NDRF, a beautiful force, excellent force, and all the Disaster Management Act. But the problem is that the system, the community for whom whose life is being saved has not yet become a real stakeholder. They are all being told what to do, and they are not taking the initiative. The success, it will become a huge success if it becomes a demand-driven activity. The people should demand from the government, and the government should supply. Then it will be well received. Otherwise, largely the community, and especially the remote, the less educated, and those members of the community who are affected the most, remain indifferent to it, only responding but not taking any initiative. So that is one thing which needs to be given some attention. I will now request, since the time is less, I'll request.
First, Dr. Das is there for the socio-economic, environmental and emerging issues.
I'll request Dr. Das to kindly. And my request is, because of the time constraints, about 5 minutes or so.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon and namaste to all the delegates on the dais and off the dais. NIDM has come with a very good suggestion. The topic that was coastal disaster reduction, I think whole day we are discussing among ourselves, not the standard format of lectures of series of lectures like this. One of the things has been in the second session, it was given to us that challenges and opportunity of DRR, and in that we discussed about the socio-economic and environmental and emerging issues. It was the discussion was actually very healthy discussion was happened, and I would like to inform you all the community who are present here that everybody was concerned about impact of climate change. That is one thing I heard from all the people, and they not only that a terminology, they were also a little bit concerned about what are the R&D activities going in the country, and whatever is developmental projects actually is happening in presently, that assessment we should think about how it will tackle climate change down the years. Issues were discussed, came lot of issues like saltwater erosion. Mostly people talked about coastal erosion. Erosion is not a new problem in the country, and the erosion pattern in the country is also different whether from compared to the east coast and the west coast. Because it is a site specific constraint, and morning the director of NDRF, Member Secretary NDMA was telling about the Satvaya area of Odisha, where I also belongs to the same state. I have seen that people cry a lot because their own house is taken away by the sea 1.5 kilometer. When it comes to our house, we will also feel like that. But anyway, that is a problem. There are a lot of things, disaster management, there are coastal zone management plan has been made. Discussion in our discussion also it was discussed about the Chennai beach. I would like to inform all the people here that the Ministry of Earth Sciences, earlier it is called Department of Ocean Development, when we started in 1998, we started the first walk in the country called ICZM concept in the country we brought. And we did the 3 areas, one is Chennai, Goa and Gulf of Kutch. So from the learning experience, last 20 plus years we are working on that, and there are enough research is also done on this. However, there are many more things yet to be done, and everybody was discussing even 2 questions where we received that a good governance will give you the best result of addressing DRR. And that is very much required at present, and also every activity or whatever expenditure has been made about the finance issue, I am just coming. Cost effective measures of coastal erosion, storm surge, whatever disaster we are talking, that also need to be included. Multi-hazard concept, though already it is established, and there are some areas we are working on that, still that is also need to be regulated and cost of effective measures has to be implemented. There are many suggestions and as well as there are many queries also we received. People suggested that when a post disaster happened, why government is not spending more on that? Why we suffer a lot? Why electricity come in Sundarban? Somebody was presenting that why electricity did not come in the such things. See, the government will do all the things. We received that it is a priority based. What is priority? And the number of population is involved. The density of population in some locality, urban cities, it is happening. It is immense. When 2015, I think you might have, Professor Santosh Kumar has showed that sea flows video, where I was a part of that also. When a dense populated area, when a disaster strikes, it strikes heavily, rather than in a open areas. So that means your impact of is important. Dr. Mahapatra morning said, again I am repeating today, now we have a technology to reduce the casualty, but we still have to work how best we can reduce the economic loss during the disaster. So that is our main motive. Of course, impact-based forecast will help us, but that is only one side. Other than that, we have to discuss tsunami, storm surge, oil spill if it happens. It is happening a catastrophic to the marine ecosystem. Okay, so fishermen will get affected for at least 1 month. They will not go to the sea if a oil spill will happen. That is also disaster, right? So that has to be incorporated into that. And one delegate was also telling that, after any disaster, most post-disaster, it creates a lot of maintenance. That means lot of debris and everything. So he was inquiring about how the government policies, regulations are there to clean up. Because in that post-effective, post-disaster, a lot of casualties is also going to be happen if properly mitigation measures has not been taken. So that is the reason I think we are doing our best. I think NDMA, NDRF, SDRF, state agencies are very proactively mitigating all the disasters. And I am, with this thing, I think we discussed socio-economic, environmental, and whatever the challenges were there during this coastal, this discussion. And I am thankful to the organizers for being a part of this group. Thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Das. Now, may I invite Dr. Harjit Kaur to speak on the PPP and CSR for CDRR. And she has a lot of experience. She puts her heart and soul in the work in the NIDM on this subject.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Surya Prakash to give this opportunity to me. I chair the session on public-private partnership and corporate social responsibilities of CDRR, Coastal Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience. The suggestions given by the delegates are: enhance the capacity building and community-based approaches for the vulnerable areas in coastal state having the industries. And the second one from scientist GSI, he shared his idea about the coastal erosion. Due to the port industries and other industries in that coastal areas, they lead to coastal erosions. And these coastal erosion also lead to a flood and other hazard to that area. So we have to look for coastal erosion management for that zone. And third one is developing a coordination between district level organizations with industries. And there should be a health center near the coastal zone. One of our delegates shared his experiences that near the Godavari River, 30 kilometers away from the river, Godavari River, they found 50 dead bodies monthly or weekly, regularly. So he put a point for a boat ambulance for those vulnerable areas. And there should be take care of animals, not only the persons. We are always looking for a DRR for our populations. So I want to just give one example, like in 2019 flood in Assam, there in Kaziranga, there are approximately 60 of rhinos were died. So we need to look forward for the ecosystem-based approach in DRR. Then we have to provide a cloud-based platform for monitoring and tracking the resources. From FICCI, he suggested that in FICCI there has a dedicated department for that. Those are focusing for industrial disaster. And always we are talking about the DRR for focusing on industrial base. So one of our delegates suggested for a business continuity plan for industrial area. So these are my points from the delegates. Thank you very much. Now over to you, ma'am. Please.
Thank you. May I now request a real practitioner of the subject to speak on the community-based disaster risk reduction.
Respected PP Srivastav sir, Surya Prakash ji, and all the respected dignitaries on the dais and all the respected delegates who are present over here. A very good evening to one and all. Our group discussed mainly about the community-based disaster risk mitigation program, which is actually very integral component of any disaster risk program. So first, our discussion revolved around stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in this community-based disaster risk reduction, and who usually gets left out during this program? So, there was representatives from community-based radio stations who told that they are getting insufficient funds, and so funding should be provided to them either directly by the central governments or through the state government agencies themselves, so that they can be an integral part in creating awareness as well as spreading messages at the time of the disaster. And then from the NGOs, there was a representation that farmer produce organizations and SHGs and such other vulnerable communities are also an integral part of this community, who should be involved in dissemination of the awareness about community-based disaster reduction. And we also held a discussion where who is getting left out. So the main point which was raised was that women at home, who are sitting at home and working as a housewife, they are the main ones who are getting left out actually in all these programs. So they should also be equipped and also trained to how to react in the case of any disaster. Then second, we came about, NDRF discussed about non-structural mitigation measures. They told that training measures are actually very important, and in the case of training, rather than focusing on the resources to be made available at that time, we should be focusing on locally available resources in that area and how these locally available resources can be used in case of disaster reduction and disaster rescue measures, so that we don't waste our time waiting for resources to come in a place. Rather, use the resources which are over there and help in disaster risk mitigation measures. We also try to identify who should be the target groups in the community. There was discussions around that school children should be included, and even educational institutions should be included, hospitals should be included, and even religious institutions who plays actually an important part in the coastal areas. So they should also be made an integral part of this community-based disaster risk management measures. And there was also a discussion around we should be enhancing sustainable livelihood measures also along with this, so that communities become more interested in becoming a part of it rather than getting left out. Then we try to identify how it can help in policy making, how the community-based groups can help in policy making. There was a discussion that, as it was already told, village-based disaster management plans should be developed, and this village-based disaster management plans should be integrated with Gram Panchayat level disaster management plans. So it should not be like, the two plans are different, but all of it should work together, and these plans should come together for the district level as a district disaster management plan. And then there was a discussion that we should be able to identify experts at every level. That means in a district, experts in every field should be identified, and they should be, a repository of such experts should be available with the district management. And we should be also be able to identify at a community level who are the experts who will be available at the field at a point when a disaster is striking, so that the information goes out to the public who are present over there, as well as the information gets from the public to the district level or the state level as such. And we also discussed that, it should be a continuous program. The disaster management, when we are speaking about, it shouldn't just, it shouldn't be just left at the formation of the groups. We should be conducting mock drills, we should be equipping them more, and we should be taking it forward as a continuous process rather than stopping it at a point by the formation of the groups alone. Then there was also lastly, we actually discussed about, how eco-based solutions should be an integral part of this. We should be using, indigenous, ideas or indigenous development plans, such as, an example like mangroves, which should be developed along the coastal lines to, to constructively help in tsunami waves, protecting us from tsunami waves and all those things. And there was examples told that in Orissa, actually, they are having a booklet on indigenous information which is available from the villages. So delegations should happen. And in toto, the idea was that the delegation should happen at the village level. And all the people, be it from any groups, from the communities, from every other parts, walks of life, like the civil servant organizations, the ham-based radio or the radio workers who are over there, and from every other department like agriculture department, animal husbandry department, and all the departments should sit together and work together and try to identify what is the local-based knowledge that is available first, try to develop mitigation plan based on the locally available resources at first, and then continue this training forward, and not to stop with just identification alone, but continue this training together always, and then come up with a plan for the district as a whole. This would be helping us in mitigation of any disaster risk plans in the future also. And there was one common suggestion which came up, like in these discussions, next time when we are having a discussion, we should be having the participation of the people who have actually gone to the field and dealt with the disaster risk mitigation projects. Like even from the community-based level also, participants should be there, who will be able to address and tell us like what has actually happened and how they could develop plans at that point of time, and take it forward. Thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present this.
Thank you, Shreyaji, for a very brilliant presentation. Now, all the learned delegates have given their points so beautifully that there is no need for summing it up. I will only add on to one small point to it. We have, a lot of work of science and technology and everything has gone into this disaster risk reduction management. Now, I would suggest that instead of only head, some heart should also be placed. Instead of just science, let there be some sentiment also to make it a success for the community to adopt it and take the initiative and become a stakeholder, put some heart into it, put some sentiments into it. And the best way of doing it, number one is concentrate on ladies, women's groups, girls. I started this thing in Shillong, and the very first thing after the Disaster Management Act was enacted in 2005, we involved Lady Keene College girls, and you will be happy to know they are still continuing it. Because they have got so much concern for the welfare of their family, for their children, for their whole family. So that should be utilized. Second thing is inspiration to the community could come from the women and children, especially with the school safety program going on. After a earthquake safety drill in the school, you just ask the question from the children that, look here, you have saved yourself because of, in spite of this big earthquake, because of your training. But if you go back home and you find your sisters and brothers and others gone and your house collapsed, what will you feel? Won't you feel that I should have helped them to get them trained like I was trained? And that way, and this training program should be, NDRF does it beautifully. So involve NDRF and organize it at the mohalla level, at the neighborhood level, at the market level, on the weekly holiday of the market. So that, advise the children to bring all their family, friends and neighbors and everybody. So if they go and collect the crowd and let it become a sort of family picnic-like thing. And that way they tell the vulnerability, tell about the drill, safety drill, and practice the safety drill so that it becomes a part of their thinking, thought. It should not come when the time comes, it should come as a reflex action. They shouldn't have to think. Thank you very much for this. Thanks my presenters, beautifully done. Now, Dr. Surya Prakash has to make some announcements.
Thank you, sir, for chairing this session and conducting it very successfully and timely. I would like to request ED and IDM to kindly felicitate the chair and the speakers. May I request ED and IDM? I think, sir is coming. So it would be good to have a felicitation from his side as the head of the organization. So please help me with the ports. First, we'd like to express our sincere gratitude, heartfelt gratitude to Shri P.P. Srivastav ji for chairing this session. Kindly bring. Sir has been very kind, humble and polite, and always cooperative and sportive to us. So, sir, this is our token of gratitude to this sport. Now I request Dr. S.K. Das from National Center for Coastal Research, Dr. Harjeet Kaur as chair of the roundtable discussion. She is quite young, but taken up the challenge and made the presentation. So I congratulate her on this successful. And she, Miss Shreya P. Singh. She is from Kerala but an administrator in Tamil Nadu. So she represents both the coastal states. So thank you very much. I think one goes to me, sir. I have also co-chaired, although not spoken much. I think I'm also co-chair for this session, sir. So I think I deserve one